Hey, what's up, everybody? This is MJ Demarco of the Millionaire Fastlane and the Fastlane Forum.com. I just want to say, if you want to level up your life, you absolutely must listen to Mr. Ferguson and Time to Shine today. It's an awesome podcast, lots of knowledge bites and wisdom. You have to check it out.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 280. Super stoked to bring you this one with MJ Demarco, author of 3 fantastic books. He had the Millionaire Fastlane, he has Unscripted, and he also has the Great Rat Race Escape. And all 3 of them are fantastic reads. There's an awesome book giveaway at the end. I'm giving away each one of each books. If you do, comment in any of our socials. But MJ is a self-made man. I kind of affectionately say he's gruff. He's very to the point, and I myself really appreciate that, and I'm sure you will too when you dig into the books that he's authored. He carved out time. He's a very, very busy dude, and he very rarely does podcasts, interviews. So I am very, very, very privileged to bring this to you. So without further ado, here is the creator of the Fastlane Forum and a good buddy of mine, MJ Demarco. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and you guys hear me reference my friend here, MJ Demarco, in a lot of my Knowledge Nugget podcasts, stuff that I pick up from his books, The Millionaire Fastlane, Unscripted, and the newer one, Rat Race. And one thing about my friend MJ here is that he actually gives you steps to, and he calls it a framework, to actually apply. And if you look at the end of the book, Unscripted, which I've talked about, and what you can actually do with $10,000 and how to make it work, it works. And I did a whole podcast that I dropped a while ago on how that actually works. Not only does he optimize your wealth, but he talks about your health as well. I mean, if you're watching on here on YouTube or Vimeo or anywhere, he got me into these things called STIR. Instead of getting away from the Mayos and stuff like that, and the stuff that was hurting my body, the guy knows his stuff internally, externally. And MJ Demarco is an entrepreneur, an international best-selling author of The Millionaire Fastlane, Unscripted, and the Great Rat Race Escape. He's the founder of Viperion Publishing Corp and the Fastlane Forum, which the Fastlane Forum, which I'm a member of. I'm kind of like a voyeur. I don't really get too involved in it, but I pick up so many knowledge nuggets out of the forum that it'll be in the show notes. Don't go there now. You want to listen to the end because I do have a book giveaway for all 3 of his books that'll come towards the end. So you have to listen through. Okay. The forum has over 70,000 users and nearly 1 million posts. And by now it may be over 1 million posts. So MJ, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Black.
Black. Why is that, buddy?
I think it's a symbol of control and power.
Yes. You know what? You have that, but you have this, like, the way I read your book, sometimes I would get pissed. I'd be like, man, he's so gruff. He's so mean, but you're being real. It was like you and I are very close in age, and we were raised by it's real. There was no freaking apps or anything like that. It was real. And that's how I started picking up the knowledge nuggets from the book. So I think black fits you absolutely perfectly. So do you mind sharing a little bit about your base story as we move forward, and then we'll get to a little bit more meats and potatoes?
Sure. I'll try to be as quick as possible on that. When I was a teenager, I grew up in a lower middle class family, and I hated the existence, worrying about where food was going to come on the table. And I just hated the existence. And I remember seeing a Lamborghini Countach at an ice cream store. I think I was 12, 13 years old, and a young guy was driving the car. And I figured, okay, well, this is an athlete. This is some type of celebrity or something. Right. And I actually stepped out of my comfort zone and asked the guy what he did for a living, at which time he told me he was an entrepreneur. So that planted a seed for me that said, hey, you know what? I can be an entrepreneur and really, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, get rich quick, because this guy was young. And, and at that time, I was all about the cars. So that planted the seed for me really early. Unfortunately, it took me almost, I would say 10 years, more than that, probably. My identity as an entrepreneur really only started to match when I was in my mid 20s. Done, failed at a lot of stuff, just the tons of just stupid businesses, got involved in a bunch of schemes and whatnot. I ended up starting a company, an internet company, founded it on my own with no capital, no expertise, self-taught myself everything, sold that at the height of the dot-com boom, got it back when the company that purchased it ended up going bankrupt, bought it back, ran it for another 4 or 5 years, sold it again for another multi-million-dollar valuation. And at that point, that was, I believe, 2007, I said, hey, you know what? I'd never have to work again another day in my life. This is fantastic. But what do I want to do now? And it was always my passion to want to write. And that's when I started writing the Millionaire Fastlane to show people that there's this alternative way to generate wealth and actually live a life that is worth living. Live your dream, live your purpose, live your passion while not having to worry about money. So that's what I do now is I own a publishing company that allows me to write what I want, when I want, without any control, any editorial influence, no publishers breathing down my neck. So that's essentially the Millionaire Fastlane is the framework that allows people to start businesses that can change their lives in 10 years or less. And by changing your life in 10 years or less, I'm meaning making millions and millions of dollars to the point you never have to work again. And to the point you can say, you know what, hey, I can afford to follow my passion now, even though that passion might not be able to, normally under normal circumstances, pay bills. Like, as I wouldn't have started a publishing company if I was broke. It would simply not be the right business to start, but I can do it now because I can afford it. So that's what the Millionaire Fastlane is, this framework, how to use leverage entrepreneurship to create asymmetrical returns, which is I started my company with $900 and I made over $10 million with that company. $900 to turn into $10 million. Well, I can tell you the stock market's not going to do that.
No, sir. You're right.
So that is the essence of my framework, and which is covered in all my books.
I love it because, I come from like a same thing. Dad worked on the line at General Motors, went in the military, get out, didn't have that identity and that mindset. Right. So I know you told a story about driving limos, I believe, and like driving these rich people around and feeling it. What was that switch, brother, that was like, shit, I could do this?
Well, it was, I actually found the idea for my company, talking to a client I was driving to the airport, and he said, hey, do you know any companies that are in New York that are well? And so I said, no, I don't. He goes, well, I wish I could find something. So that's how that spurred the idea. And before all that, I was doing all kinds of harebrained stuff. Like, the popular platitude is follow your passion.
Sure.
But that's what I was doing for the first 5 years after college, and everything was failing. And because it turns out the market didn't give a crap about my passion, there was no needs for it. I was doing nothing other than selfishly attacking my own motives. And so that's when everything switched for me, is when I realized, I need to stop looking at me and my selfish motives. I need to start looking at the market. What does the market want? What do they demand? What is the value I can provide that someone's going to open their wallet and say, hey, here's $10. I want what you have.
Wow. Yeah. That's an epiphany, for lack of a better term. That's awesome. So actually taking a step away from your selfish self and then seeing what other people can use to level up. That's beautiful. So the Millionaire Fastlane, and I'm there every day, pretty much just kind of browsing and looking and picking up steps. Like, it's free, squad. Okay. The people out there listening, get there after this interview. It'll be in the show notes. What was the preface behind that Fastlane? Is it still the same thing that you're giving till you hurt so good?
Yeah. The Millionaire Fastlane actually sells better today than I released it over 10 years ago. Wow. And that's because everything in there is transcendent. Everything in there survives time. It's very evergreen. Human behavior, hasn't changed in the last 10 years. A lot has changed in the marketplace, obviously,
Right.
With apps and whatnot, but human behavior has not changed.
Never.
So the Millionaire
Right.
Fastlane is based on principles that will outlast time, which is why it still is one of the most recommended kind of underground books
Love it.
that likely you never heard of, but you go look at it and it's sold over 1 million copies.
Right.
And that's because the principles in their work, and I get emails practically every week from people who have changed their lives and said, oh my God, I can't believe it. I made, $5,000 in one day, which was more I made the entire month at my job.
Sure.
And it's because they're applying these principles that stand the test of time.
Right. I misspoke. I meant the Fastlane Forum. It's free.
What about it?
It's free,
Sure,
for
absolutely.
people to join. What was the motivation to have you set up something that's so freaking awesome that's absolutely free? Like I know that there's probably other ways you're monetizing it, but what clicked to say, I'm going to start this forum? Because I want people to go there, man.
Well, that again, that was based on a need where we just discussed. I used to hang out at another forum that was pretty well trafficked, and that forum just was overloaded with spammers, people selling crap,
Sure.
MLM opportunities, join my network, double downline bonus bullshit like that.
Right.
And it was just, there was nothing of redeeming value there except these low rent, money chasing businesses, not real, genuine enterprises, small business, large or whatever. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm going to start my own forum. So I had a pretty big following at that forum. And once they discovered that I was creating my own forum, they actually followed me to my forum, which spearheaded the growth of that. Because I'll tell you right now, starting a forum is the hardest thing I've ever done. It was harder than my starting my other business. It is just because it's a two-sided marketplace, and you basically need, two groups, and someone shows up and there's no one there, you're not going to get anyone to gauge. So again, that was based on a fundamental need in the marketplace. He had a forum over here that was just unmoderated, selling crap. So I said, hey, I'm going to solve that, and I'm going to do something better. And and then fast forward to today, it's still active as ever.
Love it. And so you're able to go into the forum squad. You can kind of ask questions and then get answers, pick people's brains in a sense. So MJ, is there any good question that you wish people would ask in the forum but never do?
No, because they usually ask it. I mean,
okay,
there's,
fair enough.
Like you said, there's close to 1 million posts on there. What happens is they always post the same question that has been answered multiple times, and a lot of times it's been covered in my book.
Sure.
Like, I'm going to follow my passion. Well, great. You're going to be stuck with 1 million other people who are also doing the same thing, and probably the market need probably isn't very strong,
right?
Or they want to, they're posting low rent. Oh, hey, I want to do some drop shipping and affiliate marketing. And I'm like, this is, you read my book and that's what you got from it?
Right.
That is not, my book says nothing about trading currencies. My book says nothing about crypto. My book says nothing about day trading stocks. It says nothing about this stuff. And then they come there and they post this stuff, and it's clear that they either didn't comprehend the book or they didn't read the book.
Sure.
Because that's arbitrage type of stuff. Absolutely. I talk about building fundamental businesses that not only change other people's lives, but it will change your life, and in short order.
Absolutely, you do. So have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah, they're very old. Yes.
Sure. Absolutely. It's almost 40 years old. So let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the double deuce MJ Demarco, the 22-year-old. What kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping on the 22-year-old MJ to maybe help him level up, last through, or shorten that learning curve just a little bit?
Well, that's why I wrote the book, is because it was everything I wish somebody would have pounded into my head when I was 22 years old. And the first thing obviously was, I said, after college, I failed for a good 4 or 5 years, maybe after college, because I was following my passion, and nobody, it sounded great. Yeah, I want to do that. And then I didn't realize I wasn't looking at the market for basically anything that they wanted. I was looking for what I wanted. And that was the evolution of the sense framework, which is basically the cornerstone of my philosophy: control, entry, need, time, scale. That's essentially what I wished somebody when I was 22 years old said, hey, this is the framework to follow. If you want, if you want that Lamborghini at 29 years old instead of never having it, if you want that big house, if you want this, this is the framework you need to start in, you need to follow in business if you're going to start a company.
And that's control, entry, need, and scale. Or did I miss one? I remember
need, time, and scale.
Got it. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That's important. Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As I like to say, if it makes sense, it makes sense.
I love it. Love it. Hope you're taking notes, squad, because it's like, again, I've read the books, but again, to actually hear it come out of the author's mouth is fantastic. So, MJ, how important then is to companies that are growing to legitimately grow? Because I didn't see any scale or any growth until I really started building an email list, and I don't spam them. Like I was one of those people with affiliate marketing where I did ClickBank and all these other digital products, and it got me started. Okay. It got me to learn how to write a blog and write entries and whatnot. And I built it up now to 150,000 plus subscribers. I'm looking at the Atlantic Ocean here, and I have a whole room over here full of swag that people send me for product demonstrations and to review it and then send it out to my list at really good prices. But how important growing a company? Obviously, you probably have a huge list. I mean, I texting list, email list. How important is for a company to grow a list?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. And the word list can be used interchangeably. Basically, and that falls into the C of my sense framework, which is control. A lot of people focus their efforts, hey, I'm going to build this huge YouTube channel, and they have, 500,000 subscribers. Well, that's excellent. Congratulations. But they don't own their list. Right. They're building on leased land.
Yeah.
So, that's a great channel, right. But eventually you have to port that channel into your own asset that you can monetize. That is your own list. Yes. That is your own, like for me, I spend very little time on social media because it's leased land. I'm not there to build Facebook's platform. And a good example is you want a story? Here's one. I remember working my butt off trying to get my Facebook group to this huge number. I got up to 155,000 people. And you know what? Mark Zuckerberg, he shows my posts to 300 people. 300 people.
The control's not there, right?
5,000 people. He's going to show my post to 300 people.
Right.
That is why you have to control your own assets. Now you can use Facebook as a channel to port those people, those customers, potential customers into your own list, into your own platform. That's why I spend all my time on the Fastlane Forum because I own it. That's my asset. It's not Zuckerberg.
Right.
Not Google's, it's not Instagram's.
Right.
So
I love you are freaking awesome. Thank you for validating my thoughts on what I put out to my squad. I say the exact same thing. I actually leverage these YouTubers or Instagrammers that have followers because a lot of them are making zero money or very little. And I actually build my list off of theirs where I ask them, hey, here's $100. You think you could run this and it lands on a splash page or added to my list? And I haven't gotten shut down. My complaints are next to nil because the content that I put out to my list is solid, but like you said, I control it because, they could shut down YouTube. YouTube could get bought by freaking somewhere in China or whatnot. And then they just totally cover. Thank you. So MJ, how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and your death date on your tombstone. Hopefully it's way down the road, but how do you want your dash remembered, brother?
Well, first of all, I want to live my life with no regrets. And for me, it's somewhat scary because I think to myself, I pinch myself every morning when I wake up. I can't believe this is the life I created. In fact, I just told my wife the other day, as I was looking around my house, I have this huge house, beautiful house, basketball court, indoor gym, home theater. I mean, it's literally a hotel that I don't need to leave. And it was weird because I got out of the shower yesterday and I looked around and I said, I can't believe that this is a product of my own creativity, of my own ingenuity. I didn't get it on the ground floor of some company, a vice president of operations. I make a big this is all because something I took from nothing to something. So for me, that dash is being able to leave something that's going to outlast me. When I'm gone, the Millionaire Fastlane will continue on. My other books will continue on. Hopefully I will have some fiction books, stories. Hopefully those will be out there living on.
Yeah, you need to write a business parable, bro. I'm telling you, you would rock that. I'm doing it now. Okay. Oh, you did.
The Great Rat Race Escape is a business parable.
Right. But there's something like a condensed one. Like I can just see you just blasting out there because I'm writing one now with the help of a couple of parable authors like Bob Berg and stuff like that and getting it done. No, you're right. 100%. Yeah, you're right. It is. So what do people misunderstand the most about MJ?
About me?
Yes, about you.
I have no idea because I don't pay attention.
Okay. It's funny.
It's funny. I don't look at my bad reviews on Amazon. I don't pay attention to trolls. I don't read the comments mostly. I try to avoid all that stuff.
Right.
Because it's just a reflection of someone else's either ignorance or their own self-worth or whatnot. I used to do that to improve my writing, which is what you want to do at some point, is to see what people are saying that could fundamentally improve what you are doing. Like I remember early on, some of my critics said I was just too verbose, and part of that for me is because just saying it once is not enough. You need it drilled into your head. Because people don't understand that they want to frame something in their own worldview, and their worldview is inaccurate. So therefore, the results they get are also inaccurate. But for the most part, I don't pay attention because I'm living my best life, and it doesn't matter what Joe Blow in Arkansas says on me in some YouTube comment, who's living in his parents' basement, who disagrees with me. I don't care. His opinion changes nothing about the dream I'm living.
And a lot of people get butthurt because, like you said, their self-worth, they're so they have the green-eyed monster, like they're envious as shit of what you've accomplished, and their self-worth is not there. So they lash out. And I make two New Year's resolutions a year. One, make someone smile every day, which I'm good because I'm a freaking goof. And two is that unless I've hurt you, disrespected you, or anything like that, I give zero shits about what you think about me. Period.
Yeah, and my favorite is, oh, you got lucky.
Right.
I say, well, okay. Okay. Well, here, if you think I got lucky, why don't you start your own forum?
Yeah.
And let's see how that goes. And
usually,
they discover after a week, they're talking to themselves and no one's there, that they can't do it. Or how about this? How about you write a book and spend nothing on advertising and sell 1 million copies? Let's see you get lucky there too. I mean, so it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. People don't want to put in.
You learn, and if you fear what other people are going to say, you'll never be successful.
Right.
Because you will always. You can donate food to the hungry, you can cure cancer, and you'll still have some idiot out there who's going to criticize you. He's this, he's that, he's whatever.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So what, if anything, keeps MJ up at night?
I sleep pretty well.
Me too. I'm getting there. I was not that great, but I would start thinking about the next day way too much. And I see that you don't probably think like that. It's not that you don't care, that you've accomplished what you've wanted to during the day and you sleep well.
I've gotten very spiritually oriented, not religious.
No, I feel you.
About living in the now and recognizing that the past is a mental construct, the future is a mental construct. So I sleep very well, very gratuitous. I have gratitude. I mean, every day I wake up and I pinch myself. So there's not a lot that's keeping me up at night.
Sure.
That's about it being acceptance. You know, I don't like the state of the country, the way things are going. I don't like how COVID was handled. I mean, there's tons of things I don't like, but that's life.
Right.
You have to learn to accept what is.
Right.
And I have a family member who's absolutely is depressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's because he is trying to control everything in his life that cannot be controlled.
Right.
You know, someone commented negatively on the Instagram post.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to live your life because everything is not going to the way you want it to, you're going to be miserable for your entire life. You have to learn to let things pass through you, the things that you cannot control.
It's so true. Like, so many people have a foot in the past, a foot in the present, and they piss on a foot in the past, foot in the future, and piss on the present, you know, and they think that what, you know, happened to them is happening to them. And they just, I get it. And that what you're doing with your books is, if they're willing and open, they can change that mentality. And thank you so much for doing that, bro. So if we take out anything electronic, any cell phones, computer, laptop, tablets, you take out any of that and take out family out of this question, what are 3 things that MJ can't live without?
Freedom.
Okay.
Absolutely freedom. And that's the ability to, I was just thinking, last time I got up to an alarm clock was probably 3 years ago.
Oh,
and that's because I was holding a conference and I was speaking at like 8 a.m. So I had to get up.
Right.
The ability to make a difference in the lives of other people, whether that's one person, a dozen, or hundreds, or thousands, or whatever. I can't tell you how gratifying it is to hear somebody from Eastern Europe or India, or Korea, that my book has changed their life. So having able to make a difference, and that's actually, they've done studies on these things, that having autonomy in your life, which to me translates to freedom, and having a purposeful existence are the 2 fundamental markers for happiness.
Yes.
And that's why I look at my life and say, well, that's why you're happy, because you're free to do whatever you want. You're free to contribute to the lives of others. And like I always say is, these people want to change the world, but they haven't learned how to change themselves.
Yes.
Right. Change yourself first, you know, and become the person you need to become in order to change the world. I heard a statement the other day, and I did not originate this. I don't know who said it, so pardon me for not crediting it, but
you're fine.
You don't build the business builds you.
Yes.
Because the person you have to become to create this enterprise, whether it's a small enterprise with a few employees or this huge enterprise with hundreds of employees, that's going to change you fundamentally.
Yes.
And then you can change the world. So back to your question, I've got off track here. It was freedom, purpose. And did you ask for 3?
Yeah, you said freedom, make a difference in lives of others, and purposeful existence. That's
and
perfect,
health.
Man.
Oh, you said I couldn't say health.
Yeah. So it's there.
Family. We were taking away a lot of things.
I know, right? I know. Because they're givens. You know, people sometimes answer, well, oxygen, gravity. Yeah, no shit. Time to shine today. Podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with my author, and I consider him a good friend. Somebody that I really, almost like a mentor, but nobody that I really confer with. I can just go right back to his books. MJ Demarco. And MJ, we have a leveling up lightning round. You and I could probably share a couple of brain grenades or a cup of coffee and talk about each one of these questions for an hour each. But you have 5 seconds with 0 explanations. You ready?
5 seconds?
5 seconds, man. 0 explanation. All of them can be answered like that.
I'll try my best.
Let's do it. You got it. You got it. Let's level up. MJ, what's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Focus on the market instead of focusing on yourself.
Beautiful. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Never seeking out information and accepting that you don't know everything.
Beautiful. If other than your books, what books do you like to dig into? If you saw me and said, all right, Fergie's read all my books, he's in his doldrums, what book might you hand me?
Well, I don't read a lot of business books because I just think they're full of crap. But one of them I recently read that I thought was particularly interesting was Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, who essentially makes the case that at some point you want to start spending your money instead of saving it so you can derive life experiences. And I don't agree with everything in the book, but it was really good. He did a good job of explaining that there's a threshold there that you need to consider.
I'll throw that in the show notes. If you could stay, don't lie to me on this one, MJ, if you could stay one age physically for the rest of your life, keep everything you've garnered, your wisdom you've garnered, and continue to gain knowledge physically, what age would you stay for the rest of your life?
33.
Thank you. I always say 20 to 32. So thank you for putting a 3 on the front of that. Any nicknames growing up?
I'm sorry, what?
Nicknames growing up?
Cow.
Cow. Love it.
Cow and Cockness.
I love it. Chess or checkers?
Chess.
All right. Favorite charity and organization like to give your time or money to?
PETA.
PETA. Beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Last question. You can elaborate on this one a little bit, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
70s.
70s? All right. I'm right there with you. 70s and 80s. I graduated in 1990. So it was like I kind of had that 70s with my mom and dad, and then the 80s is so revolutionary. I love it. I love it. So MJ, let's get into a little bit more about how people can use the Fastlane Forum to help them level up, and also the books that you have out. And squad, we're going to do a giveaway on each one of the 3 books. And I just want you to put, let's say Fastlane in any of the comments, whether it's Pinterest, Instagram, it actually Fastlane, and then a name of one of his books, whether it's Unscripted, The Great Rat Race Escape, and the first one, The Millionaire Fastlane. Just say, yeah. So we're gonna, anybody that puts those in any of the comments on any of the social, I will purchase a book, and MJ has agreed to Hancock it, sign it, and I'll pay for the postage to get it out to him. So let's talk a little bit about your favorite book of the 3. Which one is it?
Here's an interesting thing is I've changed so much over the time that when I read The Millionaire Fastlane, because I wrote it 14 years ago, I didn't recognize the person who wrote it, which was me, because I've changed. I mean, the concepts still stand the test of time, but so every new book I write is my favorite, simply because it's more of a reflection of who I've become. But if you ask the general public, usually they like the first one because it's the rawest. And it's also when I was, also younger and a little bit more braggadocio.
Sure.
Firstly, for me, I I just didn't like the way I came across 14, 15 years ago. That's because
none of us do, dude. I feel you. I was printing money from 03 to 07. And then when the market dropped in real estate, I lost it. Literally, I mean, my story is, I lived homeless. I was a real estate broker, and I printed money, right?
Sure.
And a client said, hey, we're moving to Florida, getting out of Michigan, because I'm from Detroit, right? I'm getting out of Detroit. We're moving to Florida, and they wanted me to short sale their house. And squad short sales just own more than what the house is worth. And so they left, and I literally turned the power on using another friend's name in the house. I squatted there. And then when I rebuilt everything. I started building Time to Shine Today, and that was 09. So it's crazy. And I didn't have your book, and I don't know how I didn't. It would have helped out a lot because I needed that. I was handed another book called The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. Great book. The business parable. Dude loses his job, daughter's dying. He wants to kill himself. So he runs into a tree, and he wakes up in 1942 with Give Him Hell, Harry Truman, about ready to drop the bomb. And it was all about making a responsibility. Then he meets King Solomon for wisdom, and Frank for being happy. It's an awesome book that really started to change things and stuff. So, it's a great book. It's a fun business parable. If you ever want to pick it up, it's called The Traveler's Gift. A lot of fun. But anyways, I just bogarted your time here. I forgot what we were talking about.
My favorite of the 3 books, which is
sorry.
It's usually the last one I've written.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And it's funny. I read Unscripted first. Right.
Oh,
and I did. And then Millionaire Fastlane. And I'm not going to lie, I'm only about 3/4 of the way through the rat race. I call it the rat race, the Great Rat Race Escape. So that they're life-changing, Squad. They're books that, like, again, he's gruff, so just get ready about it. Don't get butthurt by it, because it's a guy who me and him kind of walked a similar path with kind of the lower middle income and not really having that identity set up in our minds that it's almost okay to be rich, or that's okay to be wealthy, because a lot of people are set, and you're going to have a lot of haters. Which MJ, if you go through his reviews, you'll have a lot of those, and that's just the crab mentality, where you're trying to get out of that rat race, and people are trying to pull you back in to their comfort zone. So yeah, that's just MJ. This is awesome, dude. So, I know I'm rambling. It's just I've been waiting on this one, man.
I'm having fun, man. Keep going.
Yeah, it's just been fun. It's been fun. Could you do me a favor and leave us with one last knowledge nugget you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action on?
No one cares about your personal experience. They only care about what you can do for them.
Yes.
So if you offer something that someone wants because they find it cheaper, more convenient, more problem solving, whatever, they will give you money. Sure. And if your story identifies, if you have a story, this is where that violates that, is if you have a story that people can identify with, you can also sell more. Oh. And that's that's the power of story. So if you want to have all these selfish narratives, make sure that story ties into your customer where they can identify with that story. Because all things held equal, the person with the better story, or the company with the better story, we started this company, to save the whales. We started this company to do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Then you will have an advantage over the company who's just out there to make money.
Love it. Love that. And Squad, we literally, I kept my guy here, MJ, too long here. He agreed to 30 minutes. He gave us 40. And I just am so appreciative of MJ. We got a free masterclass, guys. I mean, this is a guy that had a passion to write, and he wanted to show an alternative way to generate wealth and live with purpose and meaning. Okay. He wants you to stop looking at your selfish motives and see what the market needs, fulfill it. Okay. Don't forget about the control, entry, need, time, and scale. Okay. And he also says, make sense. So that's make SENSE makes CENTS. Okay. Remember that social media is leased land. So it goes back to the first, it was his control. You don't control your social media. So start building a list. Start something that you can control and put out that great content. Like MJ said, that saves lives. He's going to be somebody that lives with no regrets. He's going to, this is the thing about MJ right now. And I don't know if you realize this, but he's planting trees that he's never going to sit in the shade of. Okay, Squad, think about it. He's planting trees he's never going to sit in the shade of, because what he's doing is evergreen. And I teach that to my clients. Evergreen is something that's going to be around a long time, if not forever. Okay, he's basically somebody that doesn't want you to, live with a foot in the present, foot in the past, foot in the future, and piss on the present. He wants you to live now and to be happy and just level up. He believes in, freedom, making a difference in the lives of others, and living a purposeful existence, And he left it with what I call with him. What's in it for me? Okay. People don't care what you can do unless it really serves them. Unless they're family and whatnot, then they might care in a totally different way, but they are looking for something, provide it for them, make sure it's of great value and it makes sense for them. So don't sell the steak, sell the sizzle, make it work. And that's what my guy MJ does. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's humble, yet hungry. And he's earned his varsity letter here at Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Spot. Thanks so much, MJ, for coming on. I love your guts, brother. And I just can't say enough on how blessed I am for this interview, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Had a blast.
Awesome. Chat soon.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.